The meeting to order on Monday, March 17th for our study session. We can rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Janet, may we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Boyce? Here. Mr. Bova?
Here.
Mrs. Burns?
Here.
Mrs. Delaney? Here. Mrs. McBride?
Here.
Ms. Mungo? Here. Mr. Ritter?
Here.
Dr. Singh?
Here.
Mrs. Warning?
Here. Okay.
Leslie, just a reminder, we had an executive meeting and we talked about litigation
And personnel.
and personnel.
Yes, thank you, John. That went from 5:15 to 6. Yep. Dr. Rossi.
Sure. We have with us tonight Troy Ulowitz on virtually with us. Troy's our technology coach in the district, and he's here to just share some insights from his recent conference on artificial intelligence. And so as AI continues to take shape across all aspects of life in general, we continue to learn more about its application in education, and Troy's kind of been leading that for us. So Troy has 5 or 6 slides here, and he just wants to share a little bit about his experiences and some of the things that we're doing here regarding the artificial intelligence. Troy?
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I am blessed to be part of this fellowship. I really do feel fortunate. Gateway got involved really early with it. And there's about 20 neighboring school districts also in the program. You want to advance the slide, Michael? Or... Okay. So just a little bit about the background of this program. So it was made possible by Henry Hillman. He donated, or that foundation donated a bunch of money so that we as educators could experiment with AI is basically what the big reasoning is behind it. So down at the AIU, we've met already 3 times. We're going to meet 2 more times during the year. We also have, and I will talk about this later, we went to a conference together to learn more about AI. But it's a collaborative network of local educators and administrators, and it's been very beneficial. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide, Micah. The big thing is, AI is definitely a part of our lives, and it's all about trying to capture it as educators so that we can start to utilize some of the tools in an appropriate manner in the classroom. And that's really what the big goal of this program is. You want to go ahead and go to the next slide, Michael, please. So I did attend a conference in Austin, Texas. It was a huge conference. They have a city that's really set up to host big, large conferences like this. There were probably about 30 sessions going on at the same time with over 100 people in each room. There were a ton of people, and I'm talking to your AI leaders in the world, not just educators, but people that are making the AI. Like people that work for, ChatGPT, for Bard, for Gemini, through some of the biggest corporations out there, Google, Microsoft, Apple, like they were all part of that conference. So we are really hearing firsthand from the leaders in the field, not just educators, but also the private industry. And people all across the globe came to the conference. It wasn't just the United States conference. They host this conference every year, but this grant that we received made it possible for us to go to it and just see what it was about. So the expenses were paid by the Hillman Foundation. Can you go ahead and go to the next step or page? So these are some of the sessions that I attended when I was down there. And as you can see, I really focused on getting that to any session that had the word AI or had the letters AI in it. We really got to see behind the scenes of how AI works and how educators are using it in creative ways. Today, I presented to our staff, and I brought back a lot of the information to them, and hopefully gave them a lot of ideas how to incorporate it into their teaching with their students, and how to talk about AI with their students a little bit. You want to go ahead and go to the next slide? So part of the big part of this project is to do a little bit of a big project that will focus on, hey, if you could use any AI tool, which one would you use? Maybe bring it into the district, get some teachers on board using it, and then let them use it for a couple months and then see how it went. And then every one of us, so all 20 groups are doing something a little bit different. Our district is going to pilot a software called School AI. It has a really neat area where the teacher controls a bot. So it's, if those of you that are familiar, I hope you're familiar with ChatGPT by now. It's kind of like a controlled version of that, where teachers can create a space and the students go into the space to learn about whatever they're studying. So the teacher could fine tune what they're going to be talking to this bot about. The teacher could see every one of their conversations in real time. So if a student is off task, it'll say like, hey, this student's off task, but it'll show you the conversation of the bot trying to get the student back on task. It'll show, it's a very good at differentiating instruction. So we use students at all different levels in our classes, and different interests, of course. So it really fine tunes the instruction using this AI technology to try to get the most out of the resource, if that makes sense. I do plan on showcasing this, and you're welcome to come. We're going to be presenting down at the AIU. I will have videos of it in action with some of our students, some pictures of it, and we will talk about some of the results and some of the benefits of using this. Hopefully, the teachers. I'm piloting this with a select group of teachers that want to try to use this in their classrooms, and I'm going to try to pilot it K through 12. Today I presented it to high school staff, and there were a lot of teachers that signed up and said, I'm interested. So very, very, very interested in seeing where we could go with this and seeing if it could enhance learning in the classroom. I mean, that the main goal is just to try to get our students to learn more about what they're studying in school. And I think that's the last slide, Micah. If you want to advance one more, yeah, that's my slides. But if you have any questions,
Troy, this is John Ritter. So listen, I understand a little bit about artificial intelligence, and we know that the Monroeville Mall has been undergoing some changes recently, and it's being reimagined. I'm wondering whether some Gateway School kids could invent a project that would ask some intelligent questions, I don't even know what those questions would be, about the next version of that property at the Monroeville Mall. That is, some of the questions I could imagine would be, what would most benefit the community? Or what would most benefit the students who are taking various programs at Gateway? How could they use some of that office space there to do something different or better or future looking? Another one would be, what are the financial aspects that the Gateway School District could imagine that would benefit us, and how would that work? So in other words, there's a lot of different aspects to the question of what the students could do to help the people who are in charge of reimagining the Monroeville Mall over the next 5 or 10 years do. And so they might be looking for some input from some of the local residents of Monroeville and the Pitcairn, the Plum, everywhere around here. And so the Gateway School students may be working together with some of the other students from other groups around here could get together and brainstorm some intelligent questions. Maybe there's an architecture, a student that's going to be an architecture major. So what would it cost to redesign some of the interior space? Is it worthwhile to even do it, yes or no? In other words, I don't know the answer to many of these questions, but they're worth asking. And if the kids come up with something brilliant that the owners could use and put into their battle plans that they hadn't thought of, that would be pretty good.
so if that was my response would be, let AI help you. So one strategy that I shared with teachers today was have the prompt ask you 10 questions. So you would put in to ChatGPT, Bard, or Microsoft Copilot, or any one of these AI softwares. You could just go in there and say, hey, this is my idea, state it exactly the way you just did, but then say to the AI, I would like you to ask me 10 questions to make this, to refine this prompt basically, because I'm not a pro prompt writer, nor I don't think anyone on our Gateway School Board is.
And
So
that's okay, right?
nor our students. So you're using the AI to help you write a better prompt. So like a really good strategy, and I didn't make this up. I've learned this. Mr. Stanford, who's at the AIU, he used to be a Gateway employee at one time. He's the kind of one that shared it. Again, he's one of the leaders of our fellowship. He came up, he shared that with us, and I think it's a brilliant way to because I don't know what to ask you. So ask me 10 questions of how to make this prompt better. That's what I would start with.
And one of the other questions could be around the United States, other malls that have struggled, have they been reimagined and are they succeeding or not?
Yeah, and I don't know if AI could come up with these solutions.
But
I
that's
think
a data question. It's either going to come back with a response like yes, and then with a world of information, or it's going to come back and say, I have no information. That's okay.
Yeah.
But that's how you learn what AI's limitations might be.
Mr. Yulowitz, how many teachers, so if I understood this right, there's a whole bunch of you in different places that are getting several different programs and everybody's going to pilot one program, correct?
correct.
So how many teachers are we allotted through this program to pilot?
So we have about $1,000 to spend, so that's our limit when it comes to harnessing, piloting one of these softwares. So we just met, Mr. Brown and I met again for the second time with the company to try to get as many licenses, like professional licenses. There's a free edition of this, so don't steer me wrong. Like everything I showed to the teachers today, they can take and run with right away, but there's a limit. They can only do this with 75 students. So the unlimited version, the one that we are piloting, and our last offer was 50, but I think we're going to get to 150 licenses. So we'll be able to do this with about approximately 150 educators in the district, to answer your question. Hopefully, cross our fingers. And that's just like a 2-month version of it for $1,000. But I really think it'll be worthwhile for them to kind of utilize it with all their classes and really explore what this tool can do.
Can I interject something in what you were saying, John, so we don't reinvent the wheel? About 3 years ago, Dr. Alyssa Beck, she is part of environmental programs and all. She had a contest, and it was called Reimagine Monroeville Mall. And I was one of the judges, the reason I know. She would be someone I would
Introduce her to AI.
Yes, yes, and so students did come up with some very interesting ways that they were reimagined, and this was before the sale or anything, it was just because of the fact malls are in the position that they're in, and they were coming up with ways, how can we reimagine it to make it productive and so
I like
forth.
that. Yep.
So she's someone that I would have her.
And there's a lot of new buzzwords when it comes to using AI. You'll hear things like hybrid teaching, so using humans alongside of AI. You'll hear things like walled gardens, where you're controlling where AI is sourcing all of its information. There's specific software like the ones I just shared with you, and some of the ones I shared today with the staff, where you determine where it's going to where the AI is going to get all its information from. It's not just spanning the entire globe. You could say, hey, I want these 15 resources. I only want you to get the information from these 15 resources. So there's a lot of stuff behind, I didn't share everything with you. I just trying to give you a brief overview of what the AI fellowship entails. But a lot of the knowledge that I garnered, I'm sharing with the teachers as I work with them as a tech coach. And I'm looking forward to, piloting this with teachers across our district. Sure.
When does the pilot start?
We'll be starting
when you do the paid part.
Yeah, people signed up on the Google form today that said I'm interested. So probably as early as next week is when we'll start. We're going to run it for 2 months. I have to have something that takes back to the AIU in the middle of May. So I have to have something that says, hey, we use this. This is what we came up with. This is how it helped our instruction.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to tell us. Do you have
I
something?
have a question. We were just talking, John and I were just talking about, we have to formulate some questions for the AIU. And one of the things we're wondering about ESL. We have a lot of students coming
What is
to us.
ESL?
I'm about to say. English as a second language for those students we have in the district that don't speak English. We have a lot. So is this going to be one of the things we focus on, like general needs like that? Because that seems like this would be key. This would be something we could use for that.
Yeah, a lot of these AI have built-in language translator tools. So
They
the
do?
one I'm talking about does as well. So that AI bot will be able to communicate with them in their native language. So it's definitely something that will help teachers who are, when you have several non-native speakers in your classroom, it's a struggle. Our ESL team does a great job, but we're, having some extra hands, so to speak, through AI would definitely help. But again, we're trying to be very controlled with it. We're student security and safety is number one. We don't want to just open ourselves up and start using all the AI resources that are out there because there's a million of them. We're trying to pick something that we think is pretty good, is very secure, and does a good job with the instruction. So that's kind of, we're trying to introducing it slowly because teachers have been using it. Trust me, the students in our classrooms have been using it, but not on their school devices. Our high school students are, and that's a whole nother area that I could talk about if you really need me to. But I did share a lot of strategies on how to combat cheating with AI and whatnot as well today.
And that's one of the other reasons why we wanted to do this, because it's in our teachers' hands, it's in our students' hands, and it's just open. It's opened up, and it's, for them to go to on their own. And so we want to make sure teachers and students are using it appropriately and responsibly. Thank you, Troy. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Janet, did we have Ms. Pagliano here? No. Okay. Do we have anybody signed up for comments from residents on agenda items? No? Okay. Do we have any board member discussions?
Oh, yeah. So, we're supposed to toss some questions to the folks at the AIU and at the state legislature. So a couple of us have been brainstorming. This is what we got so far. One is the TSI timeliness, and that's the Gateway School District likes to get information as soon as possible, even if the information isn't completely polished yet. Earlier raw data is better than really, really late perfect data. So the question for the state legislature is, could you find a way to send some of the data to us a little bit more timely? I guess is the gentle way of saying it. Any questions on that? Number two,
Makes sense.
how to handle immigrants, school children's needs, like their immunization records from another country. If it doesn't show up, how can we better manage that? English as a second language, movement between schools and states, residency requirements, food, do they have a permanent place to live? Are they sharing a house part-time with, one parent in our school district and part-time with another parent in another school district? What happens if the parents are supposed to leave the country? What happens to the kid? How do we send their records and let the records follow them? In other words, a big ball of wax set of questions that we could toss to the state legislature or the AAU, let them chew on it, and over the next couple of years, figure out a way to handle it a little bit better, because we do get kids coming in and leaving the district all the time. So that's a good topic. Cheryl, do you want to talk a little bit about the adequacy gap funding formula
Yeah,
question?
I sent Leslie, first of all, Janet, are you putting together the questions for us? Because that came up before. Did you say you were gonna type up questions that we could send to the
I
AIU?
said that. You can provide it to her.
You said that?
So they just need to you guys just need to
Forward it to you, and then are we forwarding from you to the AIU? How's that gonna go?
She'll forward it to the
To the
AIU.
AIU, okay. I sent Leslie and Dr. Rossi an article, if they wanted to share with the rest of you. There's a thing called adequacy gap funding from the state. And they went back and they put all 500 districts down and the monies that they're gonna give us now that they're supposed to change the funding formulas. Is that what they did? Last year. All our surrounding neighbors are getting money and we're getting nothing. So the question becomes, how did you formulate this? What was the criteria? What did you look at? Because, even Franklin Regional got $250,000.
Woodland Hills got 15 million and
Penn Hill's got 7 million.
Gateway got 0. And so the question is,
Why?
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 Well, how did they come up with those
Right,
analyses?
right. Are they revisiting that? Do we know?
There's still funding issues with the state, and so I think they're sticking with this for now, but there's still gaps they need to fill.
Because in that
Do that.
article, it shows 24, 25, 25, 26, and they have payments, and the sum total for like Penn Hills is 7 million, but it's broken down in payments. The only other district close to us that's getting zero, which is amazing, is Riverview. Little Verona and Oakmont, everybody else is getting money. McKeesport's getting 23 million. So the question becomes why?
I guess if the Commonwealth ruled that the Pennsylvania spending on public education was inadequate, then how did they determine which districts
Exactly.
were
John formulated the question.
inadequate?
That's the
Yeah,
question. We
yeah,
need to know
like why? You know, I know some of it was based on the property taxes and if people were being overly taxed higher to make up for the inadequacies. I did read some of the formula, and even though it does fill in a lot, but you're right, like, not that, you know.
We have some slides we can provide at the finance meeting. A lot of it has to do with the per pupil or pupil expense and where that falls.
Right.
And so if you're under that, what their threshold was, it's part of the formula. I think we were above that, and so that
Yeah, because I'm looking at.
didn't help us.
Like I said to you,
Yeah.
how many special ed? I mean, we're known for special ed, that's a higher cost per pupil. That's something you have to take in consideration too. Plus, that's why I asked you how much money we have to refund, because of the property tax assessments and the commercial property going into court. Did they look at that?
You're
Because,
supposed to look at all that special ed, English as a second language, all that's supposed to be part of that too.
Yeah.
do you really trust me? You looked at that list. There are 500 districts for all of you to know in the state, and 350 got money. 150 did Gateway, Mount Lebanon, Upper St. Clair, all those higher end districts got zero. So I think I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to our information we're supposed to receive this week, because we're still having that report
Yes,
late on
yep,
Thursday
yep.
Yeah.
about our demographics.
So is that information that we submit, or
I don't think, do we submit
is
that?
that kind of like right to know, open to?
Some of it does come, obviously does come from what we submit, like per pupil amount, but then they plug it into that formula.
Yeah,
With all
the
that
question is,
information.
what's the formula, Robin?
Right,
So this wasn't like a grant application?
No.
We didn't drop the ball anywhere, just to be,
They look
just to
at
be
tax
clear.
base, they look at that, your,
You can actually look at spotlightpa.org, and there's a whole
I'm just
article.
telling the community
Oh, okay, yeah.
This was sounding,
no.
something happened
That
and we
we
were lumped
missed.
with these wealthier districts.
And our question is,
This time we didn't drop a ball. The formula.
Our question is, who dribbled?
Probably.
what's the game being scored?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't want to take up too much time, but I have a fourth one. I don't know how to formulate the question well, but it's about small business.
Let me help you, John.
Coming out of COVID, I mean, they struggled. Are they still struggling? Is there something the school district can do to help re-energize the small business? Because we want them to succeed, because when they succeed, they get to pay taxes, and that gets to come to us, and then we get to figure out best ways to use them. So the question I have is, what's the status of COVID and effects with small businesses here locally?
This
How do I frame that question?
article in yesterday's Post-Gazette, big headline, small business optimism at an all-time high.
I don't know if I believe that or understand it, but, you know.
Read the article.
Just helping you.
Is this a question for us worth asking?
I don't know. How do we want to do this, Leslie, as far as the questions for the AIU?
Yeah, we can just give it to Janet
They're gonna
and,
get hundreds, so they'll probably.
Yeah. And then-
Massage.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
put pressure on them to come up
Yeah.
with ways to frame it. Okay, I like that.
Okay, one other thing. Did you know that municipality of Monroeville is going to make a presentation about the state of Monroeville? And we're doing something similar. We're talking about the statistics related to Monroeville and Pitcairn. But it seems like, are we doing parallel things here? I guess they're making a presentation initially to the chamber, but people have asked it should be made to the public about the state of Monroeville, and we're looking at the demographics for the school districts. So it seems like we're doing a parallel thing here again.
No, well, I saw that.
Did you see
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, the
Is
city
that
manager
Yeah.
is having us, it's a paid
Yes.
luncheon.
Yes, but if he's talking about the state of Monroeville, we're talking about the demographics for the school district. Should we be coordinating
We,
that
through the
information and
demographic
data?
study, they did coordinate and talk about
They
housing,
did?
yes. Yep.
Okay, so some of what he's gonna say is.
I
what
don't know
we
about
paid
exactly
for.
about small businesses and things, but in terms of the housing plans and everything, there was coordination.
Yeah, our demographics were really focused on housing and what was being built, so, yeah,
but
yeah.
I thought ours was very broad, it's gonna have a lot of things, rentals, how many babies are being born.
Yes, all that.
All that
Yep,
good stuff.
So Leslie, thank you for indulging me. I went a little
Yes.
long, but thank you for.
Oh, no, yeah. Yeah, wait, that demographics, I saw a preview of it. It was pretty awesome. Yeah,
We didn't have enough time on Thursday to do everything.
yeah.
We should.
Yeah. How about for you, Miss Elaine?
I saw this, you're looking at an interview saying,
No, I was just gonna comment that I know that the schools, the elementary schools appreciated all of the school board members who were able to come out and participate in the Read Across America, which is an annual project that all the elementary schools have. This one particularly was UP, and I know I enjoyed dressing up and being Bessie Coleman and other.
We heard wonderful things about your outfits. They're still talking about it in the community.
And if anybody wants to see other, like Amelia Earhart and Bessie Covenant, tomorrow I will present at the Monroeville Library in the evening.
Oh,
Women
nice.
aviators for Women's History Month. So,
What time is this, Delaney?
and that's at 6:30 tomorrow at Monroeville Library.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So I just want to comment on this AIU questions list, so forth. So I have attended 2 of those meetings. And food is good. And chairs are good. But as far as question is concerned, I think about 10 questions get asked altogether from everybody in your school. So 2 of your questions get asked, you should be very happy. I think it's half of it is social, and meet legislatures and so forth. So I came up with a limited expectation that our questions will go to Harrisburg and it will bounce back. We'll get something out of it. That was my general picture. I don't know what kind of expectations we're going to go with that.
Dr. Singh,
Yes.
will we know which ones of ours are chosen to be answered specifically if for some reason we can't?
No, all the questions I heard each time. So you see, these legislatures, somehow the 2 I attended, so only 1 Republican legislature attended and the rest 7 were Democratic. And and there were some people, actually MC is excellent. I think he's ex-KDKA person or something.
Right.
Yeah,
He's really good.
He is just amazing. His act is worth watching. Maybe more than the questions. So it's overall, you come back with good feeling from that meeting. But as far as the question is concerned, what happened in Harrisburg, I didn't get much.
I'm just wondering if we don't get answers to our question, do we pursue this another way? We go through the AIU first, and then if we don't hear answers, do we go right to our state representative and ask some of these questions specifically?
We can definitely brainstorm on
I
that.
think among 8-10 legislatures who were there, some looked more influential than the others. And one, Senator Costa, he was really number 1 in terms of influence. He was like a hammer over there. And it was, I think there were about 8-10 legislatures, state legislatures, some. And these things many times turn out to be a social event.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Robin, do you have anybody else have any other board updates? No? Okay. Mike?
Thanks, Mrs. McBride. Oh, I'm sorry. There was one quick thing from Forbes. from our last Forbes meeting, $14 million needed for HVAC upgrades immediately. They've been put off for years and years and years. We kind of discussed this before. They narrowed it down to the HVAC system, and the recommendation was made to explore a bond issuance because these things they simply have to get done, and 14 million is.
Is Forbes able to get a bond without, I don't know how.
They'll need all of us to vote on it.
It's all the
All the
primary.
votes, okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right. So,
Do they,
It's a big task.
question, do they have a capital improvement budget of any type?
Relatively small.
it's very, yeah,
Much like ours, you know, it's, we have one, but when we wanted to build the school or upgrade the school, we needed a bond. And this amount of money is such that there's really no other way to do it, and this was just the HVAC.
And the electrical,
Electric.
there's
The
a,
electric panel
Yeah.
that we've talked about before, that's $1 million plus electric panel that they've been putting, Band-Aids on for years. So, yeah, that will be starting up that conversation.
So just,
They're gonna have to come to us with a resolution.
oh, okay.
so I'm gonna say with Sunrise, the schools that are involved with our jointure, so we divide it among each school. Does Forbes do that also?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Right, the regular operation, yeah,
Correct,
absolutely.
okay.
And I guess if they had come to us and said, we need 14 million, there are 9, I always draw, I have like 9 school districts, yes?
Yes,
They could have said, come up with 1.3 or each of you and then come back to us. They didn't do that. The recommendation was, let's check out a bond first.
Thanks.
Back to you, sir.
Item 4, financial reports, 4.1, list of bills for March of 2025. Item 5, action items. 5.1, approve the assessment settlement agreement with 1 Monroeville Center, lot block 743 J's and John 246, and 300 Oxford Drive, 639 H's and Harry 349 is the lot and block for that.
Make that motion.
Second.
Anybody have any questions on action item 5.1?
I assume we're able to have, Mike give us a little summary for the folks. about what we're
Sure.
doing.
Lot and block 743 J246 is 1 Monroeville Center. I call it the big doctor's office across the bridge. If you're going out towards the police station, they filed an assessment appeal. We were able to negotiate a difference in our favor, a school district of $58,000 going forward. There's no refund this year, but going forward, the 2025 tax year will start July 1st. We're going to end up receiving an additional $58,000 from what their assessment was lower than ours, and we were able to negotiate a fair settlement for both parties. The second item, the 300 Oxford Drive, we also reached a settlement agreement with them. Between their appeal and our attorney, we worked out a difference. They come up with $228,000. We come up with $183,000. We had an agreement, so it was an additional savings. It's us is $44,580. But keep in mind, this goes back for 4 years, so it ended up being like $60,000 a year.
Anybody else have any questions?
That means we owe them.
Yeah, we owe them $183,000.
Right.
Janet, can we have a roll call due to the money?
Mr. Goodman?
Yes.
Mrs. Burns?
aye,
Mrs. Delaney?
Aye.
Mrs. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Mungo?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Dr. Singh?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mrs. Boyce?
Aye.
Thank you. And 5.2?
Item 5.2, approve Autumn McGrogan as a volunteer for University Park.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Jen, just an all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
Just an all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Personnel?
Personnel, Kevin?
Thank you. So all candidates for employment and volunteer purposes have satisfied all the necessary background checks, clearances, and health records, including tuberculin tests when applicable. So for employment, we have a substitute custodian and a substitute food service worker. We have 13 volunteers, so, sorry, I just jumped ahead there. One supplemental. And then we have 4 resignations and 2 leaves per the Family and Medical Leave Act.
Where do we stand with replacing some of these major positions?
We're in the process right now for the resignations, collecting applicants and actually actively interviewing for some of them right now.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. And administrative resolutions?
Thank you, Ms. McBride. Item 7.1, we have a list of policies for display. Item 7.2, approve policy 236, threat assessment. 7.3, approve the agreement between Gateway School District and Paradigm Cyber Ventures. Item 7.4, approve the affiliation agreement between Gateway School District and Carlow University for occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech and language. Item 7.5, approve the MOU between Gateway School District and Plum School District to begin crosstown partnerships for JROTC program.
Dr. Cheeky, can you tell us about all these policies that are going up for display? There's quite a few.
Sure, these policies, we received some updates from the state PSBA for all of these policies. Some of the updates may be just a different term or a little bit different phrasing of some of the policies. We receive all of those with their recommendations. We put them up for public display, and then we can vote on them after.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody have any other questions on item 7?
You said we were talking about ROTC the last time. That's Air Force pending budget approval. Is that between Plum and us? We both have to approve the budget. Do we have a dollar amount that we know yet?
We'd both have to approve the MOU.
Okay, we don't have a clue yet what that's gonna look like between the
It
two
all
of us.
depends on the number of students,
Oh, this is
based on the number of students.
is there a minimum number of students?
No minimum, but we'll probably max it out for our purposes for budgeting. Yeah.
I remember one ROTC person doing a presentation here. And, yeah. I saw collapse in my mind. So I thought it was almost no fee.
No, there is, the Air Force, I believe, reimburse Plum 50% of the salary, and then the district's responsible for the other 50%.
Okay.
With the crosstown agreement, we would take that 50% and divide it by, so if they have 50 kids and we have 5 kids, we would just divide it that way. And we would pay for the 5 kids based on the 55.
Thank you.
This is located at Plum.
This will be located at Plum. There are some barriers with transportation, so we're going to try to just the juniors and seniors first to see how that goes. Transportation will be an issue for us, so that's why it's probably going to be student transportation, self-transportation.
Any other questions on item 7? And number 8.
Thanks, Mr. McBride. Item 8.1, approve the 2025-2026 AU Program of Services budget. Item 8.2, approve the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding between Gateway School District and the Allegheny Intermediate Unit Head Start Agency. Item 8.3, approve the Forbes Road and Technology audited financial statements for June 30th of 2024. Item 8.4, approve the acceptance and release of the district's June 30th, 2024 single audited financial statements for the 23-24 school year. Item 8.5, approve the resolution as listed. Allegheny Health Network in cooperation with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, PennDOT, intends to reconfigure the existing intersection at Gateway Campus Boulevard and Mosside Boulevard Haymaker Road to create a new access drive to the AHN Forbes complex.
Dr. Rossi, can you expand or Mike on 8.5?
The biggest impact, I think, for our campus is a turning lane that they're proposing to put in, so they'll have to cut into the sidewalk there, probably 10 to 12 feet. Coming close to the outside fence, there's a green outside fence, but that fence is in between, protects us from the fields. And so that's probably the biggest impact. We'll be cutting into the sidewalk there, and then we'll have a right lane for entrance into the campus. We'll be doing a bunch of work on their side of 48 over there with ins and outs of Forbes and Haymaker.
Do you still have the picture that they gave us?
Yes,
If anybody wants
Yeah.
to see it, he has.
it's on the board docs.
It's on the board,
Yeah,
you saw it on the
yeah.
board docs. I saw a couple different
Yeah.
ones. You have
Yeah,
the
there's
one that
two
was
of them.
clear.
There's one, yeah, there's two that, there's like a Google Earth one, and then one that's more of an architect.
Right.
Yeah.
Can John explain, John, it says, and we were there, so we know what they said. It says negotiations with AHN and/or PennDOT. Can you explain the difference between that? See there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. It's just a process of how we go about them purchasing the land. I know they need to purchase some land off the far side of the street, but with ours, I think they said PennDOT was the quickest way to accomplish this, rather than going through the
Is that right?
going through the other. I believe so. I didn't follow up on it a whole lot because we're still in the negotiating stages, and they haven't presented us with any paperwork yet to, acknowledge basically what they told us.
Cheryl?
Without a doubt, PennDOT would have to be involved because it's a state
Oh,
route.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
They would probably have to get a highway occupancy permit for a different
They
exit or
are.
entrance. Yeah, so that's why PennDOT has to be involved and not just dealing with AHN, even though they own the parcel, because it's within PennDOT's right of way, they have the jurisdiction, PennDOT has the jurisdiction to deal with and will allow for additional entrances and exits onto state roads. So we all need PennDOT's approval to do any of this.
Which they did, but one of the things was the negotiation, they were saying either Allegheny Health, how did they explain it? Allegheny Health Network would take the lead, or PennDOT could.
They have some,
There was a
yeah, they have some
differentiation
things,
between-
there's some things they still have to, PennDOT, so there's
Yeah.
still some things they have to work out with
There was something
PennDOT.
else. I know what you mean,
that
but there was something else.
Because it's our land, it may be easier for us to work with PennDOT instead of going through AHN and then AHN going through PennDOT.
Right.
So that we could be working with PennDOT directly or through AHN.
Right, that's what they
Or
said.
both.
Or both.
Yeah.
They also said, John, that fill that they're going to give, we're still working on them giving us the fill, the dirt, because they need a place to dump the dirt.
Correct. We are still in negotiations with them about that. And like I said, it's still early enough in the conversation that there's been no commitments either way yet.
Right.
But they're going to move a lot of dirt, and that would be more than enough to fill us up to where we want to be.
Chelsea, I have a weird question, or maybe. So we have the 10 feet right away. Every time they take that right away, do they get another 10 feet?
No, that's not how it works. They
Okay.
have different guidelines, and so, because they control the road, they can tell if a developer comes in and there's an access point from a state route to that site, they may not allow different exits and entrances. They'll look at a traffic study to determine the safety of it. And then they have all this additional criteria under PennDOT standards.
So if they take a couple feet, they can't, in 20 more years, take another total 10 feet?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Just wondered how that
They
works.
said they've been working on this 5 years.
It's been a while.
Oh, yeah, it's been a long, yeah. I don't see any board member resolutions. Do we have any comments from residents on non-agenda items?
Oh, yes.
Can you step up to the podium?
Oh, wow. I wasn't planning on that.
It's not that far.
Well, you know what, that's so people who are online can hear. The microphone is more for the people that are unable to get out.
Okay. This is an Irish blessing for all of us, if you'll indulge me. So may the blessing of light be on you, light without and light within. May the blessed sunlight shine on you and warm your heart till it glows like a great peat fire, so that the stranger may come and warm himself at it, and also a friend. And may the light shine out of the two eyes of you, like a candle set in two windows of a house, bidding the wanderer to come in out of the storm. And may the blessing of the rain be on you, the soft, sweet rain. May it fall upon your spirit, so that all the little flowers may spring up and shed their sweetness on the air. And may the blessing of the great rains be on you. May they beat upon your spirit and wash it fair and clean, and leave there many a shining pool where the blue of heaven shines, and sometimes a star. And may the blessing of the earth be on you, the great round earth. May you ever have a kindly greeting for them you pass as you're going along the roads. May the earth be soft under you when you rest upon it, tired at the end of the day. And may it rest easy over you when at the last you lay out under it. May it rest so lightly over you that your soul may be out from under it quickly, and up and off and on its way to God. And now may the Lord bless you, and bless you kindly. Thank you for letting me read that.
Could you tell us who you are, please?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm Ellie McCracken.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's anonymous, right? There's no,
I've never found the, you know, and I read
that's lovely, thank you.
and read.
Do I have any other residents on non-agenda items? Sure. Do you want to come to the, can you state your name? Hi.
Yeah, my name's Len Young,
Hi.
resident of Monroeville. Graduate Gateway High School class of 1975. And I just wanted to let everybody know that there will be a reunion, high school reunion for the class of 1975. I don't have the details with me. It's in September, I believe the 20th, something like that, at a country club nearby. More details forthcoming, but anybody who knows anybody or is a graduate of 1975, all welcome to attend.
Thank you.
Yeah, it should be lots of fun.
We won't tell them that was the year I was born. Do we have any other comments? No.
Ellie, thank you for bringing the cookies for all the kids here. That was very nice.
Administrative reports, Dr. Rossi?
We just have a couple, Micah. Yeah, I just really want to just thank Troy for his leadership around really just technology in general, and especially AI here this past year, working with the AI fellowship with the IU. So we appreciate all his hard work there. Next slide, Micah. We're excited about our high school musical. Tickets, there's a link on the Gateway High School webpage. It's on the left-hand side if you're interested in tickets. And so that's running from April 2nd through the 5th, Once Upon a Mattress. So we're excited to see our talented group of high school students perform this year once again. Next slide.
And again, it's becoming kind of a common practice that we're celebrating our students winning something here at Gateway. So we're proud enough to highlight our students' 2025 chess tournament first place team.
That's great. Congratulations.
And the other part, there's a lot of discussion around college and career readiness. We just want to highlight some of the things that our counselors are doing at Gateway High School in incorporating some college and career readiness for our students. There's a list right there of all the opportunities, different universities coming in, AHN Forbes Hospital Career Day, all the way down through even looking at Local 66, some of the heavy equipment, construction affiliates. So they provide our students a really well-rounded approach to what life looks like after high school.
Thank you.
All right, that's all we have.
Oh, we have.
Thank you.
I think we had a committee in this last, did we have one or two?
All right, on March 12th, we had a curriculum and equity committee meeting. It began 6:01. We had attendance of 30 people, and included in that was Dr. Rossi, Dr. Chakey, Dr. Threet, Susan Delaney, Cheryl Boise, Jack Bova, Robin Mungo, John Ritter, Val Warning, and online, Donna Burns. And Dr. Chakey went through some new proposals that are coming out as far as curriculum district-wide, school-wide updates, financial literacy that's coming up, and information about Latin, that the first 2 years would be offered, Cyber Academy, and the third and fourth would not be offered. Just some of the things he mentioned, and the scheduling process, which is ongoing. Students are just finishing their course requests, and the counselors reviewing course request numbers, and Keystone testing schedule, and operate on modified schedule. Students will not, schedule will not affect the busing, and student testing, 9, 10, 11th graders, 2 hours delay, achievement data snapshot. A lot of this will come out for the parents, of course, in their weekly or either just their reports. I forgot how they do it. I know at the elementary level, they come out in the weekly reports. Dr. Three discussed equity and inclusion updates, the NSBA's Advocacy and Equity Institute, National School Board Member Associations, and then the Get Up Summit, which is scheduled at Gateway High School. Some other schools will be involved with that, March 28th at the high school. And our meeting was adjourned at 7:23. We had some very interesting, meaningful questions, especially talking about achievement testing and data. We want to see that all the time and ongoing as we looked at some of the results of the different effects between 3rd, 5th, and 8th grades. So we want to be mindful of how we can always better that in terms of where it is that, or what may be causing the discrepancies in those, and the falling back at certain levels. And other ways of attracting students back to Gateway, that was another issue that was discussed, because we want students not to just do cyber or to try to seek private schooling or charters or other schools. We want them here in our Gateway school system, so we did discuss that. And then other discussion by residents and parents dealing with inappropriate student behaviors, excessive fights, and so forth, which Dr. Rossi and Dr. Chakey will be looking into to see how we can better those situations as well. And also, there was talk about possible special ed funding or cuts, and also, all of these are things that are still under discussion. The next meeting is to be determined. But I think all of those, even some that are here, that came out to the meeting, and I felt it was very productive.
Thank you. Did we have any other committee meetings
Yeah,
in
one
this?
quick thing. Hey, Dennis, could you characterize when the Keystone testing occurs, you have many students spread out all over the place and they're taking tests all day long. And you're always supposed to have a monitor just to keep an eye on things, dismiss kids to go to the bathroom, whatever, just to keep the test running smoothly. Could you characterize, is there some sort of a way that some of the folks that have credentials could help volunteer to serve as monitors? Do we have enough monitors or not enough?
Yeah, I think we have enough monitors now. I mean, that's part of the reason why we went to a modified schedule to free some people up. It's kind of difficult because anyone that monitors the Keystones or the PSSA have to go through the training module and everything. So it kind of limits us to our staff. But they've done a nice job in modifying the schedule to where there's enough monitors throughout the high school to make sure that we have a good testing environment.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
And I think what John is saying, if you needed some school board members such as himself to volunteer.
We'll send him the link to the training.
Even his voice.
I have heard people say that there has been some excessive fighting in the schools, but to my personal knowledge, and I have a student in the schools, and by talking to both of you, I am not seeing an uptick in this because, you know, all these students, they're on Snap and Instagram, and when something bigger normally happens, believe me, my kids and his friends are the first ones to show me or send them to me. So I'm not sure where this is coming from. Do we know what's
I wasn't
happening?
aware of it either until the parent.
Right, so I didn't know if, are you getting reports of anything else? You guys see discipline in that,
The one was
correct?
in reference to, I think, on March 4th incident that I think that one parent was referencing, but depending on the infraction, we're either less or on par as we were last year. And some of it is, like I said, less infractions. So it really depends on, I think, what's out there in social media and how it's perceived. But just encourage anyone to talk to the building principals. They're open to discuss any questions or concerns that they may have.
And you get disciplinary reports for all the students, correct?
Well, we have a
But you're able to, so you're not seeing an uptick in this when you guys do your weekly meetings and everything?
Well, we meet with the principals weekly, so they keep us abreast of those. And if there's anything major, obviously, then we inform the board as well.
Right, but based on what they're telling you and in what you can see, you're not seeing an uptick in events with fighting in the schools? Okay, all right,
And
thank
let's say
you.
one quick thing, Coach Don Hall, this is John Ritter. We have some seasons that are about to open up this week. I think it's the track team that starts a season opener on Friday. I think also baseball starting. Is there anything else that's going on that members of the community might want to find out about? Go to the website and find the schedule so they can come out and support our local kids as they run, jump, throw, and catch.
Absolutely. It is, spring sports are fully underway. You mentioned track and field. It's a co-ed sport. Baseball, softball, and we also have boys volleyball and boys tennis taking place right now, along with lacrosse, who's playing right now in the stadium. So a lot of spring sports. Excited to get them started. They're all in game mode now. We finished their preseason and their scrimmages. And again, all our teams are playing. Our tennis team played today, lacrosse. And again, we've got games scheduled the rest of the week. Remember, please come out and watch our student athletes. They get excited when they see teachers and administrators and board members supporting them, and always we're very appreciative of that.
Thank you.
Coach Hall, real quick, did you have a nice turnout for the girls' flag football?
You know what? I was remiss I didn't mention them because it's so new. Yes, we do have a nice turnout. We have a varsity and a JV team. We just received our schedule from the Steelers. We're actually going to play one of our weeks at St. Vincent College, where the Steelers have their training camp, as well as playing two home dates as well, where multiple teams come to Gateway and play at the same day, as well as away. But again, we had enough interested student athletes to have a varsity and a JV, and they look great.
That's great, thank you.
Was that on our supplemental, Dawn, was that on our supplemental list? You probably didn't see the list. Was flag football? I went down, was it on?
No.
No, flag football's not on there.
Flag football is still being supplemented by the Pittsburgh Steelers. We actually get a stipend from them, along with equipment and uniforms from different Cam Hayward Foundation, from the Steelers. And when we transition to a PIAA sport next year, it will no longer be funded by them. We would then have to fund our coaches and our transportation. But right now, we have a stipend that we receive.
Okay.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for the update.
Leslie, ad for the musical, did we hear anything? We did an ad last year for all of us that you still haven't heard a word.
Correct, yeah, take care of it. All right, if there's nothing else.
I just want to say one thing real quick. Last Wednesday, we had our food distribution, and we served over 820 families. And I just want to thank everybody that has helped, the Interact kids, teachers and parents and employees. Just, it's great. It's really a good feeling, and I just want to thank everybody for that. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Happy St. Patrick's Day.